Well, hello everyone. Today I want to talk about the death of my mother. Um, well, it's a good thing I'm not on YouTube to make money because this poor algorithm has no idea where to put my stuff. No matter how many tags I put on it or whatever. It's mostly rabbits, it's music, it's this weird long form talking about odd things. Anyhow, um, my mother passed on the morning of January 30th of this year. And to say that it was interesting is an understatement. Um, it started actually on Christmas last year, Christmas of 24. I got a phone call and she was telling me that she's dying. And my mom was really unique. Of course, I'm sure everyone's mom is in their own way. But it was kind of like, on remember the old show Sanford and Son, where Red Fox is he's always dying. So in other words, it really wasn't unusual. So I tried to talk to her, and we talked about, when I don't know what it is about growing older. It's like the world gets smaller and everyone goes away. And for those that isn't their experience, then I hope they know how lucky they are. But so I talked her through a few things, and we hung up. And it wasn't even a week later, I got a phone call saying that she was going to go on hospice. Now, she had been diagnosed with lung cancer a few years before, and she had COPD. The cancer was completely in remission. I mean, they were writing a paper on it. For her age, she was 77 or something, and she went through 3 rounds of chemo, and literally it disappeared. And that was the second time it had happened to her like that, because years ago she had a different kind of cancer, and that was it, gone. So they were writing a paper on it. But anyway, I get another phone call saying that she's going into hospice, and of course I was really surprised. Now I'm listening, and apparently she just didn't want to take her medications and so forth for the COPD. She just didn't want to live that way, and that's her choice. But when she was in hospice, which was actually like an in-home health care, she didn't go to a facility. They had nurses that would come and check on her and so forth, but they put her on a mix of lorazepam and morphine. And within 2 days, she basically had a reaction to it that was horrific. I mean, she got up in the middle of the night, slit her ankles, slit her wrists. It was just beyond. And the lady who was taking care of her, which was a friend, she was not supposed to call 911 because of the hospice. But she did anyway, and they came and they got her and they took her to the hospital. And that is where it all began. And it was weeks of my brother and sister. My sister lived close to my mom. My brother had to fly across the country, and I basically was stuck in a tiny town in Arkansas in the middle of an ice storm. So there was no way I was getting there. And it was weeks of trying to find somewhere to put her, and she's saying she wants to die. And I truly, from the depths of my soul, did not think she was going to die. I didn't. She was acting completely normal. Um, I I didn't know what to think, but I truly didn't think she was going to die. And then you talk to the doctors, and one day they say she's going to live for, they can't give you an end date. She's going to live for 2 years. The next day you talk to them, she could die anytime. I mean, it was really hard to figure out what was happening. But long story short, um, they did send her home. And so I thought, yeah, okay. So I figured everything's all right. I did a video chat with her and everything was normal. And um, yeah, like 24 hours later, the ambulance is up there. They take her to the hospital and she just refused her all of her medicines and so forth. And and I couldn't get there. This whole time that this is going on, I'm on the phone with her all night, every night. And so I finally had decided I'm going to bring her out here. So I had looked around so that I could get help and to figure out how I could take care of her and so forth. And we had figured out how to get me out of this town. I literally was supposed to be on a flight that morning, with like 5 hours after she died. And she was in such a state that I don't think she ever knew I was coming. All she ever did every single time I talked to her, are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming? That's it. And I didn't want to lie to her, but I couldn't get there. And when I finally could go, I don't think she ever knew. And I was coming to get her and bring her back and take care of her here. And it was about a little bit after midnight, and I saw that the hospital had called. And I don't know why, because, they'd been calling around the clock anyhow. So, but when I saw that phone call, I knew. And so I called them back, and they told me that she had passed about 10 minutes prior. And so I said, okay, I would tell my brother and sister. And so I hung up the phone, and I was in such shock that I wasn't even upset. And it was, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes later, I had time to call her friend and say that she died and do a few things like that. I mean, I absolutely just was not understanding, I don't think, yet. And all of a sudden, I got this really weird feeling. And I heard a voice, okay, now think whatever you want, but keep in mind, I'm not even upset yet. And I hear a voice, and it's my mom. And she says, tell Charles, I guess I shouldn't use names, tell your brother and your sister that I love them. And she didn't have a very close relationship with them. I don't want to expand on that because, that's their business, but it's my understanding they really weren't close. And the first thing she said, I love you. Tell your brother and your sister that I love them. And I'm almost arguing with her, sitting here in disbelief, saying, she says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Tell them that I love them. And there, I got this, it was hot and a vibration from under my arms all the way down almost to my knees. And it just wrapped around me, and it got tighter and tighter. And I literally lifted my arms up and I said out loud, oh my God, what the hell? What's happening? And it went on for a few minutes. And it took me a while to figure out that I think she was giving me a hug goodbye. And she kept telling me things like, it's going to be okay. I'm happy. I wanted to die. It's beautiful. And I looked up, and she was not in the room. This was not in the room. This was like the air opened up, okay, for lack of vocabulary here. The air opened up and I could see into wherever that is. And she was looking down. And when she was young, she had long dark hair. This is a picture of her you're looking at. And her hair was hanging down and she was smiling. She looked like, I don't know, she was maybe 19. I think she was 16 in the picture you're looking at. And I could see past her. And what I could see where she was so amazing that she was an afterthought. It was like you could see the texture of the air. It's like you could see every single particle. Everything was light. Everything was alive. I do not know how to explain it. It was amazing. And this went on for several minutes. And it was maybe 10 minutes after it stopped that I realized, years ago she told me, she said, when I die, if there's any way that I can, I'm going to come see you. And she did. But the most amazing part is I mourned a lot of weird things. There's no way to get out of mourning no matter what. But it was short-lived because she was there the whole time. She's been here the whole time. And if I'm insane, then I function pretty well for being insane. It's like an ongoing running conversation. And here lately, these last few weeks, I've been going through some really big, like off the wall, terrible stuff. And so I haven't been paying as much attention to that, if you will. But she's still there. She's always kind of nudging me, I'm still here. And I can talk to her anytime I want. And it's like, I've even had arguments with her. So I'm putting this out there because I'm finding out I'm not the only one who's had these weird experiences like this. And I have to say, I have no fear of death whatsoever. I don't know how pretty dying itself is going to be, but I don't think I have any fear at all of dying. Our energy goes somewhere. Energy, I don't think it ever dissipates. It just sort of changes forms. It just moves around. And I thought that I would make this video because you hear a lot of experiences, that are near death. You hear a lot of experiences that are like shared near death experiences. But I haven't heard very many about, like, after the person dies, they never really leave. So, I haven't really even had to mourn her much. It's like she's not gone. But anyway, if anybody out there has had the same kind of experience, I'd be really curious to know about it. And, if you just think it's a bunch of whatever, well, then that's I respect that. But anyway, thank you for listening. And I'd really like to hear from anybody else who's had an experience like this.